Hello everybody, and welcome back to Gwym Discusses 40k Things. Alright, now let's get started. Now, I need to ask the question, a question that I've kind of been thinking about over the last few weeks. Does Forge World hate Black Library characters? Now, let me explain. I was rereading Malevolence the other day to get some inspiration for my Blood Angels force, and I came across something kind of interesting. Went to the special characters sheet page and had a look. And now, what would you expect from the 30k rules for Blood Angels for special characters? Now, for special characters, you'd expect Raldoron, Chapter Master, Head of the Legion. You would expect Amit, the Flesh Terror, Dueling Master. You'd expect Azkaron, personal bodyguard to Sanguinius. Maybe if you're a bit more into the lore, you'd expect like Chief Librarian Kano, stuff like that. But you go to the special characters page for the Blood Angels, and there's two. One is Raldoron, yay, and the other is Justicar Astar Crone, which is an OC made up by Forge World that no one's ever heard of before. Now, looking back and looking at all the other Forge World books, I realize this is completely not a unique problem. Now, the lack of special characters, we're going to ignore that. Yes, there should be more, but ignoring that. Why are so many of the Forge World characters OCs, and why do they completely ignore established Black Library characters that are there? Now, let me give you an example. Again, I've given you the Blood Angels one, but let's go into the Emperor's Children. Now, for special characters, you would expect Lucius, most obvious one. You'd expect Eidolon, and you would expect Julius, or Fabius Bile. You get Eidolon. You get none of the Black Library characters, and that strikes me as so wrong. But then when you go to other legions, you get special, like especially the Raven Guard. The Raven Guard are the perfect example of this. Special characters, you'd expect Agapito, you'd expect Bran. You get two original characters invented by Forge World that have never been seen before. Now, this seems to be not so much as snubbing the Black Library characters as trying to bury them under the back lawn and pretend they don't exist. And I kind of wanted to spread some thoughts as to why. Why do we think that Forge World hates Black Library characters so much? Now, the original thought of mine, I was thinking, perhaps Forge World kind of resent having to put them in. Maybe if you're writing a brand new book or something, you kind of want to add your own touch to things. You don't want to have to constantly refer to someone else's source material, to get it done. And perhaps Forge World just want to invent their own characters and not get bogged down in pre-existing characters that they didn't invent. That's perfectly reasonable, perfectly fine. One of the best things about, 40k and 30k is inventing your own legions or chapters or things like that. So, that's all good. But why does that have to come at the expense of pre-existing characters? Surely you can add your OC characters in. I'm fine with that. Some of them have pretty cool backstories. Some of them are pretty worthwhile to add in. Add them in. But also add in the characters that are there. Characters that people have been anticipating, expecting, wanting to see the rules for. Wanting to play on tabletop. We can do both. You can do both. Add your own original OC characters, but remember the ones that are existing as well. So, I was thinking perhaps that's the reason, but again, the argument is, the counter to it is just add them both. And the other thing I was thinking of, perhaps for why Forge World don't like adding Black Library characters, is maybe they don't want to have the rules balance them. Some of them, like Nakura Shuriken, are frickin' Mary Sues, and coming up with balanced rules for them would be bullshit. That's fine. A, get rid of the Mary Sue characters, or B, you can actually nerf them down or suit models for tabletop. I mean, if you can add rules for characters like Raldoron and Eidolon, pre-existing tabletop characters, then you can obviously add rules for the other ones that are already there. Again, it's just a case of nerfing their Mary Sue powers, or playtesting them or battling them down. Now, this might be a little bit of work, but you're constantly updating rules and testing things all the time, so it shouldn't really be that hard to come up with all rules for all these characters. Now, I don't know, Those seem to be the only two major reasons I could think to come up with, but I want to ask what you guys think. Do you think there's another reason for why Forge World dislikes Black Library characters? Do you think it's because they don't want to add them in? Do you think it's because they can't add them in? Maybe there's licensing or restrictions? Although that doesn't really make much sense since they're both under the same banner and should have, inter-department cooperation. But anyway, back to the point. So yeah, I'm interested in what you guys think. Do you think there's a reason that Forge World doesn't like Black Library characters for 30k? And if so, feel free to let me know in the comments below. So, cheerio lads, I hope you got some thought out of this. And I will see you again with another one of my wilding rants another time. Boop.